Types of IPv6 addresses. In IPv4 we have classes. In IPv4, if we remember, we have classes. We have class A, class B, class C, class D, class E. In IPv6 we have different types of addresses, and we can compare these addresses with IPv6 because it is actually coming from IPv4. We can compare it with IPv4 because these addresses are also coming from IPv4. So we have some comparison there. So in IPv6 we have link local address. Actually in IPv6 we don't have broadcast. We have mainly unicast and multicast. So we have either unicast address or we have multicast address. We don't have broadcast address. So this link local address is also called link local unicast address. So link local IPv6 addresses, then we have global unicast address, then we have multicast address, anycast address, and then loopback address. There is one more type of address we have that is actually we can say that is it might be there or it might be not there. There is a confusion with that type of address because the requirement for that type is not needed here in IPv6. So that type of address is still there in IPv6. The type is like a public address, like a private address in IPv4. So we have that, but it is still in confusion. So basically we have these type of addresses, which is link local address, global unicast, multicast, anycast, and loopback addresses. Now first is link local IPv6 address. This link local IPv6 address, we can compare this address with with IPv4 APIPA address, automatic private IP addresses. That range in IPv4 APIPA range is 169.254.0.0/16. It is actually a one class B range which is assigned as a APIPA. Now APIPA, that means it is a private address. That means it does not work on WAN network or internet. It's a private address and we can't use it to go on WAN or internet. So this address in IPv4, it is called APIPA. Now this APIPA address is actually private, and how it comes? So if your device, you have configured your device to get the IP address from the DHCP server, and at that time there is no DHCP server available to provide the IP address configurations. Then what happens? Your device will do what? It will assign itself an IP from this range, and that is called APIPA range. Now this happens only in Windows machines. That means it happens only in Windows machines. This APIPA address we can see only in Windows machines. It is automatically configured, automatically generated, but it is only happens in Windows. Actually it is not defined as a private address by INA or developer of IP. It is actually defined by Microsoft. We can say that Microsoft has taken the range from the INA, and they have made that range as a private. So this is the range we see only in Windows when there is no DHCP server available to give the IP address, and it will try to get the IP from DHCP. So it will use this in Windows machine. Now this feature is very interesting for network. Like whenever suppose there is no available DHCP server there, so machines are using their own IP address. Now this feature is very interesting. So this feature is used in IPv6 also, and this IPv6 link local this link local address is actually same as this APIPA. That means it is automatically configured. We don't configure these addresses. These addresses are automatically configured in every machine. Every device which has IPv6 enabled, they have the unique IPv6 link local address. It is automatically generated, and it is given by the it is the machine, it is the device itself use one of the IP. It will do what? It will send the request when the machine is started, and if it is not having any IP address, we have not configured any, So it will try to connect with the router. It will send the request for the router about the subnet. It wants to know the subnet information. Then router will send the response with the subnet information, and based on that it will use the link local address. So link local address always starts from FE80. So this link local address always start with FE80. Now FE80 means first 10 bits are reserved here. In this, first 10 bits are reserved and they always be like this. That means all these bits are enabled first, and then this 0, 1, 0. So first 4 bits are enabled, that means we get F. Then second 3 bits are enabled, so we get E. And then from the third 4 bit set, we get this 4th bit is enabled, then we get 8. Then next bit is also reserved, so it always be like this. So whenever you see FE80, that means it is a link local address. Then after that, the rest of the bits till 64 is remain 0. It will remain 0. So in any IPv6 address, basically it is divided into two parts. It is divided into two parts, and if you see, first part is the 64 bit, second part is also 64 bit. So total 128 bit is divided into two parts of 64 bits. And first 64 bit always remain for the network. It is define the network, and the rest and the last 64 bit define the interface ID. Interface ID, that means it is the ID of the machine. So we can compare it with IPv4, that first 64 bit is a network part and last 64 bit is the host part. So host part can be any, network part must be same to communicate between two machines. So if you are having 2, 3, 4 machines, a group of machines, so these all machines must have same network part. Host part can be any. Then they can do the communication. Same as IPv4. So in IPv6 also, first 64 bit as a network and the last 64 bit as a interface ID, or we can say the host ID. So in link local addresses, first 64 bit, in the first 64 bit network part, it will first 10 bit will be reserved, and for that you will get this value FE80, and then rest of the bits will remain 0. That you will get like these two colons, colon to shorten the address. So FE80:/64 is the prefix for this link local IPv6 address. Prefix, that means we can say it is the network address for this link local IPv6 address. Now it is not starting from 0. This IPv6 addresses, we have lots of addresses in IPv6. Now INA has not released, or these developers have not released all the IP addresses now. They have keep these other ranges reserved for future use. So they have not released every IP addresses right now. So we have some specific ranges available as these types. So other ranges are still reserved. So they will release those ranges when the required. Right now we have enough IP addresses, or we can say we have too much IP addresses right now to finish it. Then in link local IPv6 addresses, the last 64 bit is the interface ID. Interface ID, that means the host IP. Host IP, that means we will assign this. That means we will assign these IPs to host. Normally in IPv4, what we do, we assign these IPs to host according to what we need. But because this link local addresses are automatically generating, so this interface ID, this host IP, is also automatically generated. Now in IPv6, this link local addresses, This host IP, this interface ID, last 64 bit is basically taken from the MAC address of the system. That means if it is generating in one device, so it will take that device MAC address to create this 64 bit interface ID. Now MAC addresses are 48 bit, it is not 64 bit. So if you see this 64 and this is 64 prefix, then when we add MAC address here of 48 bit, so we reach up to only 112. But the total bits are what? Total bits are 128. So we are missing with 16 bits. So very simple. The interface ID need to be 64 bit. But if I use MAC address for this interface ID, so MAC address is only 48 bit. So to complete the 64 bit, we need more 16 bit. More 16 bit to complete this 64 bit here by using the MAC address. So what machine do? Because it is automatically generating, so machine do what? It uses this fixed value here. It uses this fixed value to create the MAC address, create this 64 bit interface ID. So this value is 16 bits. So it will add this 16 bit in the middle of the MAC address to create this 64 bit interface ID for the device. For example, this is my MAC address. I want to check my MAC address. I will give this command get MAC. Now these are the MAC addresses of my device. So let's say for example this is my MAC address. Now this is what? 48 bit address. This is 48 bit address and it is also hexadecimal. This is also hexadecimal address. Now it wants to make this address as a interface ID, for IPv6 link local address. So what it will do here, it will change it to look like IPv6 address, which is 4 hexadecimal numbers, set of 4 hexadecimal numbers. Now we can see that it is looking like IPv6. Now it is looking like IPv6, but it is missing 16 bits. So it will add this value, this fixed value into this MAC address. So it will add in the middle. The value is FFFE and it is going to add it into the middle. Now in the middle, that means if I say 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, then 4 number, then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Total 12 numbers are there. So I will divide it into two parts of 6 numbers. Now that unique number will come in between here. So the number is FFFE. So this number comes in between here. Now when you combine this together with this MAC address, so we will divide them into set of 4 hexadecimal digits. So this is the 4 digit divided by colon, then 2, and I will divide here. So it becomes like this. And now this is total 64 bit interface ID. and which is starting from FE8080 colon colon. So this is first 64 bit, which is reserved fix, and this is the last 64 bit, which is the MAC address of the system included with the unique value. And this will become my link local address for this machine and this device. So for this interface, my link local address will be this. Not only this, there is one more thing it do here. If you see here, so after doing that, after adding this value, it will do what? It also do the 7th bit from the left in the MAC address is flipped. So it will flip the 7th bit from the MAC address. That means this 1 becomes 0, or if it is 0, then it will become 1. So 7th bit from the left will be flipped. That means if it is 1, then it will become 0. If it is 0, then it will become 1. Now that means this is my MAC address, and in my MAC address, or suppose this is my MAC address. So in my MAC address, if I convert this into 48 bits, so it will go like this. First 4 bits will be like first 4 bits will be like this 9. That means this first 4 bit will be like 8001. This is first 4 bits. Then next 4 bits are 0. 1 2 3 0. Now if you see 1 2 3 4 5 6, and this is 7th. So this bit is the 7th bit. Now it is 0, so it will flip to 1. So this 0 will become 1 here. Now that means my MAC address will start. It will start from this is 9. Then it was 0 here, but now this bit is on. Now this bit value is what? This is 1, this is 2, this is 4, this is 8. So this bit value will be 2. So my MAC address will be, it was 9032. Now it will become 9232 colon. So it is flipping the first, the 7th bit from left side. So this MAC address, this link local interface address will be like this: 9232, then 4 BFF colon F E 0F, and then C03F. So this will be my interface ID, and when we include with the FE80 colon colon, so this will be our link local address for this interface. So this will be my interface, link local ID for this interface. So I can check this by using the command ipconfig. And okay, I will go with this. ipconfig /all, so it will show me the detail. Now this was my interface, this is my wireless interface, and this is the MAC address I have. And as you see, it is having a link local IPv6 address. So by default, this interface is having the link local IPv6 address, which is starting from FE80 colon colon. So first 64 bits are same, and this is the interface ID which is driven from the MAC address, but it is not looking like the MAC address. If you see, this is the MAC address and this is the interface ID for this link local IPv6 address. Now it is not looking like a MAC address because the reason is the Microsoft do what? It uses its own algorithm to generate this interface ID. It is not using the algorithm which is given by the developer of IPv6. It is using its own algorithm and generating this. It is still generating it from the MAC address, but it is using a different algorithm. So the numbers are different. But instead of Windows, if we see it in any other device, any other operating system, you will see the same thing. You will see the MAC address, the interface ID will be generated from MAC address of the device. The device is MAC address. So this is what link local IPv6 address. It is like an APIPA automatically generated. Now remember, that is private addresses. Private addresses, that means it is used to do the communication within the network. That means in the network, in the local network. But those IPs will not work on WAN. Those IPs will not work on internet. We can only use those IP addresses and automatically it is used in the local network. So basically in IPv6, all the communication done on the local network is done on that link local addresses, because all the machines uses their own link local addresses generated automatically. So whatever the communication happens in the local network, it happens based on that link local address. But if we want to go to the WAN network, so we need the public IP address. If you remember, in IPv4 we have public IP addresses which works in WAN and internet connections. So in IPv6 we have that public IP addresses as global unicast IPv6 addresses. We can compare this as a public addresses in IPv4. This is an IPv6 unicast address is used to identify a single interface in a node, and IPv6 unicast addresses identifies only one node in the network, and unicast addresses are used for one-to-one communication. And that is why it is called unicast, because it is to do the communication between one-to-one. Then IPv6 aggregate global unicast addresses as are similar to IPv4 public addresses. Aggregate global unicast addresses are globally routed addresses on IPv6 internet, and this is what RFC 3587 defines the usable range of IPv6 global unicast addresses. This is request for comment, and this is standard. This defines that the range of global unicast addresses, that what is the range of the IPv6 global unicast addresses. So RFC 3587 states that out of the 128 bit in IPv6 addresses, leftmost 3 bits are must be fixed as 001. Then remaining 45 bits are reserved for global routing prefix. 16 bits after that can be used for subnetting, and the 64 remaining bits are the host bits. The first fixed 3 bits are 0001, and the 45 bits global routing prefix is for 45 bits global routing prefix. So when we combine 45 plus 3, it will be 48 bits together, can be assigned to an organization as their IPv6 prefix. Since the leftmost 3 bits are reserved as 001 for global unicast IPv6 addresses, the range of global unicast addresses available now are from 2000 to 3FFF. Now first what it says here, that in this 128 bits, total 128 bits, first 3 bits are reserved. So first 3 bits are reserved, that means 001. So we can't change this. we cannot change 001. It will always remain 001. We can change any of these after the bits. We can change any, but we cannot change this. It will always remain 001. Now, if because of this 001, the IPv6 global unicast addresses will always start from 2. It will always start from 2, and it can go up to 3FFF. Now how? Why? Because if we see, suppose first, if we see the first 16 bits, so we divide it into sets of 4 bits. So this is 1 2 3 4, then 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 colon. This is our first 16 bits. Now it says that first 3 bits are reserved. First 3 bits are reserved, that means it always be like this. Now when it will be like this, then what value we will get? So we will get the value, this bit value is what's 1, this bit value is 2, this bit value is 4, this bit value is 8. So because this bit is on, what we get here? We get 2. Now these bits are off. So what we get? We get 0, 0 and 0. So if we have the reserve bit here, so these are the reserve bits, and after the reserve bits we can enable and disable any bits. So if suppose we disable all these bits after the reserve bits, so what we get? We get all zeros here. We get this 0, 0, 0. So first it will say 2 because of the reserve bit, and then rest of the part is set to 0, so it will get 0, 0, 0. Now if suppose we can enable any of these bits that is available. These bits are not reserved, so we can enable any of these bits. Now if we want to enable any of this bit, so we can do what? 001, this is reserved, but this bit is not reserved, so I can enable this bit. So if I enable this bit, so what I will get here? I will get, if suppose I will disable all the rest of the bits, so what I will get here? This is reserved and I can enable, so I enable this bit. Now what value we will get here in the first part, first hexadecimal number? So this was 2 and this is what? 1. So 1 plus 2 we will get what? 3. So it will start with 3. It will be like this because others are 0. So I can enable this bit. Now I can enable this bit and I can also enable all these bits. So if suppose I enable all these bits also, now what? Now because all these bits are enabled, what value we will get? So we will get FFF. Now that means IPv6 global unicast address will start from here and it will end on here where all the bits are enabled. So IPv6 addresses, you will see which it will always start from 2 and it can go up to 3FFF. Now to reach up to this 3FFF, you have to cross a lots of numbers. It will not just change like this. You have to change all these bits You have to enable all these bits. We know that how it changes. Six, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. Now that means what? When all these values will get F, 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 then this will become 1. And then again, when this all bits will get F, 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 then only this will become 2. So to reach up to this number F, F, F and change this into 3 is very far. It's very, very far. That means in between we have million, billion, billions of numbers. We have billions of IP addresses. So it is very, very, very much IP addresses we have. So till now, whatever IPv6 global unicast address you will see, you will always see it is starting from 2. Because to reach up to 3, we need lots of, we have to cross lots of addresses. So till now, always you will see it will start from 2. But in future, maybe it will reach up to this and we can see 3. But 3 is very far. So right now, whatever the global unicast address we see, it will always start from 2. But it can go up to 3FFF. Now next, how it is divided. Remember I said that first 64-bit is for the network part and the rest of the 64-bit is for the host part. So first 64-bit is a network part and in that it is divided into different parts. Now first in this 64-bit, first 3 bits are reserved. So we can't change this, it is reserved. These 3 bits current global reservation for IPv6 global unicast addresses. So this is the current reservation and they did this because they just don't want to release the all IP addresses. So they just want to release a specific range. Because we have lots of IP addresses available in IPv6, so they kept the other ranges available to use in future. So right now they have a release with this and they have decided that these 3 bits must be reserved. Then next 45 bits. Now 45 bits, that means we will include these 3 bits also because it is reserved. So it will always be like this. But the next 45 bits is called global routing prefix. Now global routing prefix, that means what? When this is because remember this is the public addresses. This is as a public addresses. Now public addresses, that means it is assigned by the INA and you will get this IP to go on WAN network. And just like IPv4 private and public addresses, it is registered. When you get these addresses, it will be registered with your name in the global registers. So this IP will be unique in the world. That means the IP which you will get, it will not be given to any other organizations. So this global routing prefix will be decided based on that. So suppose your organization wanted to have IPv6 address, so you will go to the INA and you want that I want this range. So they will give you a unique range, that means a unique prefix, a global routing prefix. That means these 45 bits, they will give you a unique 45 bits that will not given to any other organization. So by this, and it is registered with your name. So by this, your IP will be different than any other IP, any other IPs of any other organizations. So the 45 bits will be global routing prefix given by the INA to the organizations. Unique 45 bits. Now that 45 bits plus this 3 bits reserved, total it will become 48 bits. And for total 48 bits is internet routing prefix. So it will become the internet routing prefix for the organization. That means it can go to the internet WAN connection by using this 45 unique bits that will not be available and not been given to any other organization. Now by using this 48 bits, it will become unique for that organization. That means it is unique in the WAN network. The whole WAN network, it will be unique for that organization. Now within the organization, if the organization wanted to do the subnetting, now remember it is a lots of addresses, 64-bit addresses you will get, 64-bit interface ID you will get. That means you will get the IP addresses which is 2 raised to 64 to use as a host. So it is a lots of addresses you have. Now you can get this more 16 bits also to do the subnetting. That means in IPv4 what we do the subnetting to divide these into different networks. So it is reserved here, 16 bit is reserved for doing the subnetting inside the organization. So if the organization has different departments, so for the different departments they can do this subnetting for the different departments. Like they can use this 16 bit to convert this into different departments. And now how many departments you can have? You can have 2 raised to 16 departments, and 2 raised to 16, that means 5536. So it can be 65,536 different subnets which can create by using this 16 bits. So if the organization wants to create the subnets, if they have different departments, so they can use this 16 bits to create the different subnets. Different subnets, very simple, like one subnet, one department, they will give 1, second department they will give 2, third department they will give 3. For example, let's say this first 3 bit is reserved, so this is 2. Rest of the 45 bits is given to the organization by INA, and it is their global internet prefix. So let's say it is like 001 colon 1 2 3 4, and we can say A B C D. Now this is what this is reserved, and this is the rest of the 45 bit given by the INA. And when we combine it with these 3 bits, so total 48 bits. So this is what total 48 bits reserved by given by the INA, and this will be the unique. Now remains with this 16 bits. So for different departments it can use different, like 0001 is for the first department. Then for the next department, what it will do, it will use different. For the next department, it will use like 2 for the next department. For third department, it will use like 3. So it can use this bit to different departments. So first department, it will get all machines will get this IP, and suppose the host IP will be like this 000 0001. So machine will get this IP, first machine will get this IP, then next machine will get 2, then third machine will get 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, then A, then B, then C, then C, then D, then E, then F, like this. So all these IPs, this first 64 bit will be same. So this is for the department, and this is from the WAN, unique. Then other departments IP will be unique, because the first 64 bit will be like this, and this is for the second department, then this is for the third department. So this 16 bit is for the department, it is for subnetting. So by just changing the number, it is changing the subnetting. It is not like it is not like that complex. In IPv4 we do the subnetting like enabling the bits, disabling the bits. It is just not like this. You have 16 bit for doing the subnetting, and you can create 2 raised to 16 subnets, that means 65,536 subnets. So this numbers is for subnetting. So this is the first 64 bit of this global unicast address. First 64, within the first 64, 3 is reserved, and the next 45 bits are given by the INA, unique, registered with your name, your organization. Then this 16 bit is for you to do the subnetting for your different departments, and then different departments will get different interface IDs. Then last 64 bit will be interface identifier, that will be unique for different hosts. This is the host part, so we will give different IPs to different hosts. So one host will get 1, second host will get 2, 3, 4, like this. So it is on us what IP we want to give to the different hosts. Now this is not automatically generated, so we have to give it manually to every machine, like what IP addresses we want to give. So this is what global unicast address is, and this is, we can compare it with public addresses in IPv4. Now in IPv4 we also had private addresses. And with using the private addresses and using the NAT, we try to save some IP addresses, because the public addresses of IPv4 is not, it is actually finished. So we use private addresses and we use NATing to do save some IP addresses of IPv4. But because we have lots of addresses available in IPv6, you can imagine that only for subnetting we have 16 bits. We can create 65,000, more than 65,000 subnets. And for host IPs we have 64 bits. That means we have 2 raised to 64 bits only for hosts in each subnet. It is more than the total IPv4 addresses. So we have lots of addresses. We don't need to create a private address. We don't need to have NAT. We don't have to do NATing also. So there is no need to have a private addresses in IPv6. We have linked local addresses which is automatically generated, but we don't need any private addresses here. But still, developer has made that address. They have made it. It is called unique local unicast address. It is called unique local addresses. But unique local addresses we don't need actually. We don't need right now, because we have lots of addresses available in IPv6. So we just don't need the private addresses separately. But still it is there. The range of unique local addresses are still there as a private. Those addresses we can compare them as the private addresses range in IPv4, and it is called in IPv6, it is called unique local addresses. So it is there, but maybe in future it will not be there. Then we have multicast addresses. In IPv6 we have multicast addresses. Now in IPv6 multicast addresses are important because it is not having a broadcast. And because it is not having a broadcast, so instead of broadcast it will do the multicast. Because when we do the broadcast it will affect the network. So in IPv6 they have removed the broadcasting. They have removed the broadcasting from this IPv6. So what we have a multicast. We have multicast addresses. So IPv6 multicast communication is similar to IPv4 multicast communication. That means multicast means one to many, not all. So it will be like one to a group of people, but not all. So it is same as IPv4. Then IPv6 devices can join and listen for multicast traffics on an IPv6 multicast address. IPv6 multicast address identifies multiple interfaces. And in IPv6 multicast type communication, IPv6 datagram packet addressed to an IPv6 multicast address are delivered to all interfaces that are identified by the address. IPv6 device can join or leave a multicast group at any time, and IPv6 nodes can join and listen to multiple IPv6 multicast addresses at the same time. For IPv6 multicast addresses, the first 8 bits are reserved as 11111. That means it is reserved, first 8 bits are reserved, that they all bits are on. All first 8 bits are on, they are reserved. Thus the prefix of an IPv6 multicast address is FF. So because all the first 8 bits are on, so IPv6 multicast address will always start from FF. FF, rest of the 8 bits are 00. So it is similar, and it is /8, that means it is reserved, that /8, that means the first 8 bits are reserved. So similar to IPv6 link local addresses, it is easy to identify an IPv6 multicast address because IPv6 multicast addresses have leftmost hexadecimal digit as FF, and after the leftmost 8 bits which are reserved as all on, the next 4 bits are known as flags. So first it is FF, and then next 4 bits they are known as flags, and only 3 of these 4 bits in the flags field are defined currently. So only 3 bits of them is defined, 1 is not defined right now. The most significant bit in the 4 bits flag field is reserved for future use. So the fourth one is reserved for the future use. The remaining 3 flags are known as R rendezvous, T prefix, and T transit. So we can say here, so when we see the first 8 bits are reserved as 11111, these all bits are on. Then the next 4 bits are reserved for flags, and then the last 4 bits are reserved for scope. These are flags bits and these are scope bits. Now flag bits, there are 4 flags bits, but all 4 of them is not defined, only 3 of them are defined, and the 4th one is reserved for the future use. Now 3 of them is for R, P, and T. These are different type of multicastings. Then we have next 4 bits reserved as scope. Now this 4 bits define the scope of multicasting. That means the scope of multicasting, that means where the multicast data will go, in which scope. That means it is for local network, it is for local subnet, it is for local, it can go to other subnet also. That means whether the multicast will go to only in the subnet, or only in the subnet, or only in the only in the interface LAN or subnet, or it can go into only into site, single site. That means in single site it can have multiple subnets also. So it defines the scope of multicasting. After that, that means if you remove this first 16 bits which is reserved, so we remain with 112 bits. That total 112 bits is called as group ID. Group ID, that means multicast group. So this group ID is for the multicast group. So if some device is in the group, so it will get the multicast data, and if it is not in the group, then it will not get the data. So it defines the group of multicasting. Then we have Anycast. Now Anycast is actually a multicast. It is actually same as multicasting, but we can say it like, instead of broadcast we have Anycast here. This Anycast was not available in IPv4, but it is available here. So it is not like a broadcast, but it is not like a we can say it is like a multicast, but it is different. This Anycast IPv6 address are used for Anycast type of IPv6 network communication. Now Anycast type of IPv6 addresses can be used only as destination addresses, and Anycast type of IPv6 addresses are typically assigned only to IPv6 routers, and Anycast addresses are from IPv6 unicast addresses range. So from a client perspective, it is not possible to determine the IPv6 addresses is an Anycast address. The network devices which are dealing with Anycast type of IPv6 addresses are routers, and only IPv6 routers are aware about the Anycast IPv6 addresses. That means it is actually not a different range, it is not a separate IP addresses. It is the same unicast addresses we have. It is the same addresses, like it is the same unicast, global unicast, or unique local unicast addresses. So it is same as that. It is same those addresses. It is not a different addresses, and it is the addresses we define on the routers. On the routers we define that this is the Anycast address for your next hop, or we configured it in the router. So only the router which is configured with the Anycast address knows about it. And if we see that address, we will not see that this is like a this is something kind of different address. It looks like a normal address. So Anycast means what? It is to do the communication with the other routers. So routers try to send the data to other routers, so it will send by using the Anycast address. Anycast address is known by the router, and we configured it on that router. So it is like instead of doing the broadcast to others, it do the Anycast, which is, we can say, it is like which is closest to the one, closest to the router. Then we have loopback. Now loopback addresses, as we remember in IPv4, we have loopback addresses. The loopback addresses in both IPv4 and IPv6 is an address which represents the same interface of a computer. That means it is not going, the data which is sent on these addresses will not go to outside. It is not going to outside of your system, it is always remain inside, it will loop back to your system again. So whenever we communicate to the loopback address, both in IPv4 and IPv6, the TCP/IP protocol stack will loop the packets back to the same interface without even leaving the interface. So the loopback addresses are typically used by programmers for development and testing of network applications without even having a network configurations. In IPv4, we have an entire network of 127.0.0.0/8 reserved as loopback addresses. But almost all leading operating systems use the same local host to represent an IPv4 loopback address, that is 127.0.0.1. Rest of the addresses in in 127 range are not widely used. In IPv6, the IPv6 address reserved for loopback is 0000001/28. That means the first address of IPv6 is reserved for the loopback. This loopback address is so lengthy and can be further simplified as ::1/128. That means we eliminate all those leading zeros to shorten the address, and it will become like ::1. Now unspecified addresses in IPv6 is the IPv6 addresses with all binary bits set to 0. In the IPv4, the IPv4 address used as unspecified address is 0:0.0.0/0. This address in IPv6, this unspecified address is used by an operating system before an IPv4 address or IPv6 address is configured on it. So IPv4 and IPv6 routers will not forward packets with the unspecified addresses. In IPv6, the unspecified IPv6 addresses is all zeros/0, and if you simplified it, if you shorten the address, it will become ::/0, because we remove all the leading zeros and we use two colons. So in IPv4 we also had this loopback address as 127, but in IPv4 actually we had a whole range of it. The whole range, that means it is the whole class A range, and it is not only a single IP, it is more than 16 billion IPs. 1 million, 16 billion, like, so it is like this. It is lots of IP addresses was wasted in IPv4. Nobody uses all those IPs. If somebody wanted to use it, because all those IPs will work same, they do the same thing, but only everyone was using only one IP, 127.0.0.1. Rest of the IP's address in this range is wasted, totally wasted. Nobody used it. So in IPv6 they did what? They make it only one IP. They available it this they make this loopback address as only one IP. That is the first IP address of IPv6. They keep this as a loopback, and rest of the IPs are not, only one IP. In IPv4 they have wasted the whole range for it, but here we have only one IP. Now there is one more thing, it is called unspecified address, and that is also reserved in IPv4 because we can't use it, because the any machine or any router will not forward the data on this IP 0.0.0. This is basically the IP when the machine does not have any IP addresses specified. So it uses this 0.0.0.0 IP when it is not having any specified IP. For example, if you have a Linux machine and you want to get the IP address from DHCP, DHCP is not available that time. Then what happened? The Linux machine cannot use Apipa because Apipa is only for Windows. So what the Linux machine will get? Linux machine will get 0.0.0. Because it is not having Apipa, it will get this range, this IP, because the IP is not specified. So in IPv6 also we have the unspecified range and in unspecified IP, and that is not the whole range, it is also only one IP, that is the first IP, that is we can say 0000. So when you have all 0 here, that means colon slash 0, colon slash 0. So finally, when we summarize all of these, so these are the special addresses we have in IPv6. First, when all bits are off, when we get all zeros slash 0, or we can say colon slash 0, so it is known as IPv6 unspecified address. Network interfaces will use this IPv6 addresses during the process of stateful IPv6 address configuration using DHCP. So actually when our device send the request for DHCP to get the IP address, at that time it uses this IP as its own IP, that it is saying that this is my IP. It is actually 00. Then all zeros last and the first 0000001, it is slash 28, 128, or in simplified version we can say colon 1 slash 128. This is the loopback address of IPv6. Then IPv6 addresses between prefix of 2000 and 3FFF slash 3. Now slash 3 means the first 3 bits are reserved. So that is called global unicast addresses. We can say it is like a public addresses in IPv4. Then IPv6 addresses with the prefix of FE80 colon slash 10, that means first 10 bits are reserved here, and that is called linked local IPv6 addresses. That is same as Apipa addresses in IPv4. Now IPv6 addresses with the prefix of FC00 colon slash 8 and FD00 colon slash 8, that means slash 8, the first 8 bits are reserved as FC, FD. So that is called unique local addresses. And this unique local IPv6 addresses, we can compare it with private addresses in IPv4, and that is what I was talking about. This private addresses we actually don't require now, because we have a lots of addresses available in IPv6, so we don't require the private addresses and configured with the NAT to save the IP addresses. There is no need to save IP addresses because we have a lots of addresses there. But still it is there, but maybe in future it will not be there because we have lots of addresses. Maybe it is there because the people are very used to, we used to have these public these private addresses. So they just don't want to leave it. Then IPv6 addresses with the prefix of FF00 8/8. 8 means again first 8 bits are reserved, and these are what multicast addresses. Multicast addresses for IPv6. Then IPv6 addresses with the prefixes from 2001 0DB8:/32 to or and 3FFF:/FFFF:/32. Again /32 means first 32 bits are reserved. Now this reserve for documentation and refers for the RFC. You can refer RFC 3849 for the more information. These are still reserved for documentation, it is not defined here. So these are the special addresses we have. Now when we do the comparison between IPv4 and IPv6, so in IPv4 addresses are 32-bit length, in IPv6 it is 128-bit. IPv4 addresses are binary numbers represented in decimals. IPv6 addresses are also binary numbers but represented in hexadecimals. IPsec support is only optional. Optional, that means it is external, optional. You want to use it, then you use, otherwise you don't use it. In IPv6 it is inbuilt IPsec support. Then in IPv4 address resolution protocol, ARP is available to map IPv4 addresses to the MAC addresses. That means it is to resolve the IP to MAC addresses. Remember, in IPv4 when data goes out from the data link layer, so it has to add the MAC address of the destination machine, and when it don't know the destination machine's MAC address, on the data link layer it runs the ARP protocol. It sends the ARP request for the MAC address. Then it will go the broadcast, it will do the broadcast, it will send the ARP request as a broadcast, but nobody will respond it, only the IP address of the machine, it will respond with its own MAC address, and by that it will resolve the MAC address of the IP address. Now in IPv6, address resolution protocol is replaced with the functions of neighbor discovery protocol, NDP, because if you remember, in IPv6 addresses by default all the machines in the network get the link local addresses. By default it will get the link local addresses, and link local addresses is used to do the communication within the network, within the LAN, within the subnet. And in that link local addresses, MAC addresses are inbuilt. That means the interface ID itself is a MAC address. So we don't need to do the ARP broadcast to get the MAC address. So in place of that ARP, we have this new protocol, it is called neighbor discovery protocol, and this will use to discover the IP address of the destination machine. Then Internet Group Management Protocol, IGMP, is used to manage multicast group memberships. So in the IPv4 it uses Internet Group Management Protocol to manage the multicast group membership. That means to listen to the multicast data, you have to be in the member of that group. So membership of that will be managed by this IGMP protocol. In this IPv6, IGMP is replaced with the multicast listener discovery, MLD messages. So for getting to get into the group, it uses this discovery messages to know the multicast group. Then broadcast messages are available in this IPv4, but in IPv6 broadcast messages are not available. Instead, a link local scope, that is all nodes multicast IPv6 addresses, that is FF02::1, is used for broadcast similar functionality. Remember, it is using multicast address to do the broadcast functionality. Broadcast is what? It is the broadcast within the subnet. That means broadcast will not cross the subnet, like it will not go from one subnet to other subnet, because routers will not forward the broadcast packet. So broadcasts are basically for the single subnets. Now here it uses this multicast IP with all node scope. That means it will use this. If you see FF, first 8 bits are reserved, then this second 0 says about the flags, it is 0, no flags are set, and this last 4 bits are for the scope. Now in the scope bits, when you see 2, that means when the second bit is on, it is called all nodes within the subnet. That means the broadcast, the multicast request or multicast data will go within the LAN to all nodes. So it looks like it is what the broadcast for the subnet. So it uses this, IPv6 uses this IP address to do the broadcast in the subnet by setting the scope bit to all nodes. This is the scope bit which is set to 2. Then manual configuration, that is static of IPv4 addresses, or DHCP, that is dynamic configurations, is required to configure IPv4 addresses. To configure IPv4 addresses, we can configure statically, we can use DHCP to configure dynamically. In IPv6, auto configuration of addresses are available. That means we don't need to configure the IPv6 address, even static also. We can do that, but it is not required basically, because it always gets the link local address automatically. So link local addresses are automatically generated and it is auto configured. We don't have to configure any address. Even we can use DHCP also to configure the addresses for the IPv6, but link local addresses are already there, so we don't need to configure it statically. So auto configurations are available here in IPv6 also. So this is what the difference between IPv4 and IPv6, and this is the altogether IPv6 addresses we have in this IPv6 protocol.